My guest at the time is the director of The Wrestler, a QT Marshall story. It is Frank Zarrillo. Frank, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me.
Nick, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Now, I had not seen this doc. I did not know it was out there for these years. I feel dumb because, Frank, this is one of the best wrestling documentaries I've ever seen. I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to bullshit. This is one of the best wrestling documentaries I've ever seen, period.
First off, that means a lot coming from you and you guys. That means a lot. And
yeah,
it was initially when me and QT first went over this, we didn't think it. I said to him, oh, this is going to be great for your career, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't think that it would associate all the brands that we're with now, like, Walmart, Amazon Prime, him being in AEW, San Diego Comic-Con. So it was like we both took a chance on each other. And, me being a lover of wrestling, I think that helped it out. Yeah.
Well, it's a great. We'll get into it here. It's a fantastic documentary.
Thank you.
It's the realest look I've ever seen at the struggle of what it is to be on the bubble, right?
Right.
You're in there and you're looking to make the leap. This thing perfectly encapsulates that. But let's slow it down here a little bit. When did you become a pro wrestling fan, Frank? When did your fandom begin here?
I grew up with my family always had like that Hulk Hogan toy where like the rubber one where he's like that. Okay. They always had those toys in the house and things like that nature. But then it really kicked off when I saw when he turned into Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah.
And then that era. And then since that point on, I never I would go in and out, but I would always stay loyal to watching it.
Yeah, man.
And growing up to watching, Briscoe attacking like Stone Cold and stuff like that, and then having him in the film and all stuff like that. So it was pretty surreal. It was like a 360 pretty much. But.
Yeah. There's a lot of familiar names in the doc, that's for sure. And what's your film background? Where did you go to school, or did you go to school? Like, where did you?
Yeah, I went to Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida.
I've heard of it. That's crazy.
So, I've been at this a long time and putting my dues out there.
When did you graduate from Full Sail, if you don't mind?
2013.
So before all the WWE stuff had happened, right?
Yeah. Oh. And that it was probably 2 years out, and I was like, I needed something that we had to do something because I didn't want to spend the next 10, 15 years playing for somebody else. So I had to kind of create my own movement here.
Yeah, for sure, man. So when did you and QT hook up? What was the original meeting between you two?
What happened with that was when he was working in Planet Hollywood at the time in Orlando.
Okay.
My brother's friend, it was his friend, they were working out together. He was like an acquaintance, I guess. And then what happened was that Tough Enough thing came out back in 2015. So it was something I was like trying to put my hat in the hand because it was on my bucket list to try to write for WWE one day. I just wanted to do that for a short period of time.
Okay.
And my brother had that connection with him. So we sent him the video and he goes, oh, this is good. You'd have to come to the Monster Factory, whatever, which is in Paulsboro, New Jersey. That's owned and operated by Danny Cage.
Right.
And he's the one that, he was responsible for coaching like Matt Riddle and Luis the Punisher and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all these dots that are connecting, my friend and I go to the Monster Factory and we get there and we're seeing QT is wrestling the Punisher at the time. And they're both, on the ground floor. And after the show, he says, if you want to get some of our connections, you're going to have to, pay your dues, obviously. And I just got a Full Sail not too long ago and doing it for a number of years beforehand. I said, I cannot do any, like, I can't commit to a whole nother school. I can't do it. Like, I just got out of Full Sail. Mm-hmm. So then my friend pitches me, he's like, oh, why don't you do a documentary? And at that time I was like, I was just gonna like every other wrestling documentary. And as you said before, you're like, not many wrestling documentaries tell the truth. So, at that point, like, that's what was running through my mind. I didn't think that I can stand up to all the big juggernauts out there that were making those projects.
Yeah.
Resources. So then, I tossed around with the idea for a week, and then I reached out to QT again. I go, what if we do a doc on you? And he goes, yeah, all right, I'll do it. And then right then and there, he goes, oh, well, I'm going to be 30 soon, so I guess, that's going to be it. And I go, oh, right then, that was the answer for me right there. That was the story. I go, with that one line of dialogue that he gave me, I just put it together, and that was it. And then he trusted me for the next how many years that we stood together until, and that was it. We built a great relationship, and from that point on, about a few weeks later, I was filming Briscoe and Blue Meanie and stuff like that. So
Man,
it all happened that quick. Yeah, it was kind of like blind luck, but I was kind of ready for it at the same time.
so you did, because like there were parts of it, obviously, because the film builds very well. So did you know that the Briscoe tryout camp was going to be happening when you were putting everything together and kind of laying out your timeline, or did that come
Yeah,
after? Yeah.
he mentioned that. He said that Danny Cage has Briscoe come there. He for the last 3 years prior for like an evaluation or whatever.
Okay.
So it was like a no brainer for me. And right then and there, I got few of my friends, like maybe 5 or 6 of us, and we threw money into a pot and got the camera. It was just like all on the whim. Like we got the mic. I didn't even know how to use that particular camera. I didn't know how to use that microphone.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you were like a fan of wrestling, right? In and out,
yeah,
right? And so
yeah.
you get into this world now, though, right? And you're
Right.
a filmmaker, and it's pro wrestling, man. This is a very guarded business. I was
Right.
very impressed with the access you got and how open you were able to get some of these wrestlers. Talk to me about. I think Danny Cage is a great guy. I've known Danny for many years now.
Yeah.
Did he have any restrictions on you? Is there anything that he said like you could do this, but you please don't do that? Was there anything like that going on when you were making it?
No, you know why? It's because he had his relationship with QT, and QT put his neck out on the line for me. So it was kind of like when I walked in there. I mean, once we had a quick conversation, he kind of knew where my mind was and where I want to take it. Like I didn't want to be like, oh, I just want to make it and that's it and put it on the corner. Like I wanted to try to get it out there the best of my ability. I want like everybody on the planet to see it. Like that's my mind frame with it. And I think once he got wind of that, it's just like he just literally opened the door for me, and I would walk in the back. It was just like, so that's why I'm grateful, because not many people would get access like that.
Yeah,
And I have been asked that question in the past too. Like, how did you get it? It's like,
dude. Well, here's the thing that blew my mind, Frank, is watching it. Was the Gerald Briscoe speech / the tryout camp all together, right? Because I've actually met Gerald briefly. He was like a very nice man, and I've seen him in interviews, and he's always like smiling, and he kind of, has that kind of, big boy kind of look to him, where he's all happy. But he is hard as nails, total change of persona when he gives that speech. How was he when it came to you with your camera crew about letting you film what a WWE tryout looks like? I don't know that I've ever seen that before, at least on camera.
I guess because his relationship with Danny, it was like, I mean, that was more of like the Monster Factory perspective of it.
Okay.
In terms of doing that, I did try to reach out to NXT, because NXT's, I'm sure you're aware, is involved with Full Sail, and they do this tapings there.
Right.
And I have some friends that run the development there and stuff like that. And they tried numerous times to get me to film in there, and it just wouldn't work out. But in terms of when he was, doing the Monster Factor, and there really wasn't an issue, because that was more of Danny Cage's platform.
Man.
So.
Yeah, I would just say to any wrestler out there, if you haven't seen the film, go watch it alone for this right here, like getting an idea of that look into it. We only got to see bits and pieces of it. Obviously, you can't include everything in the film, but was there anything about that tryout experience that really stood out to you or surprised you, or you felt like there was a special moment during that training camp or that tryout camp?
I mean, not necessarily. It's kind of like even in the film business, just as hard too, breaking into things. So there's a lot of parallels, just a different medium per se. But I mean, when he came there, that was everything he would expect it. Like there's a line he delivers. If you remember, he says that if you're not going to shine in here, you're not going to shine in front of 4 million people worldwide, 16,000 people in the stadium. So it's kind of stuff that, I've researched over the years and expected for somebody who's been on the planet for, I think he's over 80 years old.
Yeah.
Someone who knows and is aware of all the mistakes that can be made. And so it was me. I was 26 at the time, so I was soaking everything in. But it's like, the older you get, you start to realize why he was saying all those things he was saying. So, I mean, that was cool in that aspect. But
and from I know from somebody who had wanted to write for WWE, was there like anything you gleaned from that, from like a personal perspective, where you're like, oh, that's good for me, I'm going to remember that as I move forward and maybe do more pro wrestling?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was like I said, he was so full of wisdom and everything, so it all sticks with me.
Yeah,
like everything he was saying, it's like you have to listen to him. Why he's at where he's at, and
sure.
so it's like that's the way you have to put it in your mind.
Well, let me ask you about Matt Riddle here as well, because as much as this was the wrestler, the QT Marshall story, there
Yeah,
were some like other side storylines going on here, right?
yeah.
Like you get to see Matt Riddle and who was Punishment Martinez, now Damian Priest on NXT.
Right.
I don't want to give away the finish here, but the movie ends and they're both given WWE contracts and QT is not, right?
Yeah.
Did you know Matt? Did you know Matt before you walked in and started filming all this?
No, what happened was QT told me that Matt Riddle was just signed the Monster Factory. He's coming here to start training. So that was another one of those things where it was just like blind luck for me, like the way it worked out. Yeah, it was kind of like, oh, I feel so lucky, but at the same time, I waited a long time to get into a situation like that.
Yeah,
But
but man,
it was just like one of like it was once again it was QT's sweat equity and whatnot, and he goes, can you do a project? Can you do a interview with them? And that was it. Like there was nothing ever like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. There was no egos, nothing like that. Like him and Damien,
yeah,
Matt and Damien were more than willing to do it. And,
man, that's
so
crazy.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. So, and the thing about it, the great thing about it was all three of them. They had like a gimmick while they were there called like the real life heels. But now seeing all three of them, all of them make it to the next level like that, and they're all, in their industry. That was pretty great.
Yeah. Well, and with Matt, I mean, look, Damien is, he's 6'7". He's gonna,
Right.
He's got a look that's made for WWE. Matt, though, different kind of guy, different kind of cat. When you were watching him in that tryout, did you get the vibe like, this guy is a shoe-in, sure thing. I'm gonna see this guy on TV in 2 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like just disregard his UFC background, like just the way he was. You see, he was doing jumps on the platform. I forgot whatever the box jumps or whatever it was. And
he was like
yeah.
whooping and like making Briscoe laugh. I was like, this
Yeah,
guy,
like that was a genuine reaction shot. Like because we're only dealing with one camera at that time, so I had to move the camera and try to cut it all together. But all those were genuine laughs that Briscoe was giving Riddle. And then just like there was other scenes too where Briscoe and Riddle were wrestling, but I don't think I got that on camera.
What?
It was like a quick thing, yeah. But it's like you can see the admiration they had for one another. But it was, but yeah, to answer that question, Riddle by far had you can just tell he was going to get to the next level. There's no doubt.
Man, because it was like once I saw Briscoe laughing, and like the rest of the time he just looks like mean. I was like, that's a good sign if I'm auditioning for Gerald Briscoe that you get that reaction from him. Let's talk about QT here, man. So like this is a very personal thing for him. There's a lot of really heavy moments in this, right? Him talking about how he's like sees himself as done. He's got this job. He hates his job. His mom is kind of in his ear that like you should give it up. How hard was it for you to kind of keep your composure and document these like more raw, intimate moments with these people?
That's great you answered that question, because I told him, I said to him initially that before we were going to edit it and put it out into the world, I needed to have a missing piece of the puzzle. And that missing piece of the puzzle was the dinner scene, and I had to have that in there. And that happened over time with our relationship building.
Yeah.
And him, allowing me to trust me to be able to capture it without, doing any dirty shots or anything like that.
Yeah.
But when I saw that scene, like that dinner scene, I knew after I filmed that, I was like, all right, this is going to be to my crew. I was like, this is going to be the one that every time we go someplace or this or that, everyone's going to relate to it, no matter if you're trying to be an actor, a musician, or baseball, whatever the case may be. I knew that, it was such a personal thing that everybody was going to resonate with it.
Yeah.
But, in terms of, was I getting emotional? I mean, at that time I was worrying about the technical parts. Like, I got to worry about the lights are in the right spot and stuff like that. But seeing it afterwards, it's because I'm sure everybody has had a conversation like that with their parents or somebody close to them at some point in their life,
Maybe it's time to change direction, right? It's like as soon as he says that, I'm just like, put a effing dagger in my heart. As an artist, it's like you never want to hear that. I mean, how was QT's mom? Was she like? Because I would imagine she was not probably gung ho to jump into this thing. I don't know. Maybe that was me.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really an issue. I mean, I guess he asked her, and that was it. His stepdad didn't really want to partake in it, but she, once she was there and she knew what I was doing with it, and after she saw, I guess she really understood it.
Yeah.
And I
Um,
mean, yeah, I don't know really. I couldn't really answer that. What was going through her mind when he asked her? But I mean, afterwards, it's night and day. It was funny too because I went to the Wasco Center in Miami. Um, QT was wrestling there with DDP. That's when like that first thing happened.
okay.
And I went there my girlfriend to visit him to see him after the show. And once I got there, I was going to the ticket booth and I ran into his mom. It was funny. So I was like, I see him. It was like night and day. And just seeing her, it was like thinking to myself at that time, remember the last time I really sat with her was at that dinner scene.
Yeah.
And then now we're in Miami, both going in together to go see him perform in front of, whatever, how many people. So that was cool. It was just like to see something like that. It was pretty gratifying.
Yeah, I would bet for you. I bet that was very gratifying for QT Marshall as well to have his mom in that situation. The movie takes an interesting turn at the end when QT's NXT tryout gets pulled for unknown reasons, as it said in the film.
Right.
How did that change up what your plans were when that happened, kind of out of the blue? Because this movie felt like it could have ended one way, and then all of a sudden takes a sharp, quick turn the other direction.
Initially, that's another great question. I was kind of getting just like from friends and family, whoever I was screening it to, they would say to me, "Oh, this has got to be a happy ending." But me being a filmmaker, sometimes you can stretch the truth, but at the same time, you don't want to lie. You know what I mean? Like that's really what happened. I didn't want to. Like, how else could I tell a story if they're going to look him up? They're going to say, "Oh, he's not doing it anymore." So I had to try to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And then that was the original ending. And the funny thing is, at that time when he called, and then we talked, and then we filmed it, and I found out about all that. I was like, "Oh, this is going to be good for it. Though. It's going to be good for the storytelling aspect. It's going to add more emotion to it." But I knew, I mean, most people don't want to leave a movie screen in their theater, whatever, being uneasy about the end result, whatever. People want that fairy tale happy ending. That's the point of going to the theaters, right? To get an escape.
Yeah.
But then he just continued on. I knew when he said he was going to move on to other things, he really wasn't. I knew that he was going to stick with it. But then once what happened with the school, which was the Power Factory, now it's the Nightmare Factory,
Right.
and then him getting the AEW, it was a no-brainer to change the end in the end. But
Yeah.
it all worked out.
Yeah, well, and like the ending, the ending does kind of have, but at the same time, I watch it, and like I know you only have so much time, and we're not all here to make Last Ride Undertaker 4-year long opuses,
Yeah.
But like I do feel like there's still meat left on that bone, right? Like I'm at the end of it, and I'm like, well, now I kind of want to see the rise of QT Marshall. I mean, have you guys?
We did talk about that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have you guys talked about doing a sequel? Because I think it would be awesome for you to be capturing what he's doing right now, considering, the last one ends with him like quitting a truck driving job,
Yeah, we spoke about it a few times, but then when he's just been busy with his stuff now. He's literally all over the place now.
Yeah.
And then I got that project and another project coming up, and then it's just like you drift off into different directions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did. Someone actually commented, forgot where it was from, but they said, I think it was from Best Buy, like I had a Best Buy comment or whatever, and they said, "Oh, it was a great doc, but I really would like to see the AEW," which I agree.
Yeah.
But it was just the time going through all the legal paperwork and then going through getting the subtitles for a quality lab, all that stuff, like all the business stuff of it. And then when it came out on October 22nd, it was it was just too late. Like for me to recut the film again and send it back out, it would be an initial 6-month delay.
Yeah.
But, and it worked out perfectly because when it came out on the 22nd of October this past year, Cody and QT did a segment on AEW Dark, and then they mentioned it in there. So I was like, that happened on the same day. Like you couldn't have asked for anything better. But I figured if I waited, I don't think the timing would have been perfect for that. So I had to just go with the timing that I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not dude. The movie ended in a way where I was totally satiated, but it felt like the end of a chapter 1 to me, right? Which I guess is, I don't know, maybe that's how it was supposed to feel. Does that resonate with you when you kind of hear something like that, or no?
I mean, yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not opposed to exploring it again.
Yeah.
But I mean, like people want, that, like, it's just that where he's at now is just night and day. It would be great to continue on with that.
Well, tell me a little bit here to kind of wrap it up a little bit. Like, what is it like for you to watch QT right now excelling? You know, working with Cody on this school, getting time on TV, working pay-per-views, working with Dustin Rhodes. Like, how is it for you to see him having time?
It's great for the fact that we've had this relationship for over almost 5 years now, whatever it's been.
Yeah.
And we did nothing but help each other out. There's never been an argument or disagreement. It's been literally like the easiest thing to work with him. It's been that easy. I remember him saying to me one time that I've been one of the most professional people he's ever worked with. And, I mean, there's been no stress, anything like that. And then to see him at this level now, it's like, he deserves it because you remember throughout the film, you see all those different places he's been in, all those, smaller venues and whatnot.
Right.
And he literally has paid his dues. So it kind of, he deserves to be there. And it's great seeing it and seeing him on the, it's there every week. Now it's normal now. It's like you see him, he'll put up a post and you go, pay-per-view. And then you see him with Mike Tyson the other day. It's like, it's normal. You see it now. It's just like a normal thing. But at first I was like, oh, I can't believe it. It's not that I didn't believe it. I mean, he just didn't give up. I mean, this is the only way you can look at it.
Great story, man. Well, you were talking to me a little bit before we got on the air here about what you're working on now. I think it's a really interesting concept here. You want to tell everybody else what the next thing is that you got in the pipeline?
Yeah. I started filming my second documentary feature. It's called, right now it's a working title, but it's about Rich Gaspari. He's a bodybuilding legend. And now what he does now, he's a supplement. He has Gaspari Nutrition, but he gives back, and every year he sponsors the Arnold Amateur at the Arnold Classic in Ohio, the Arnold Sports Festival. And that was a relationship I built with him over a year, and I'm documenting his life now. We just started filming before the whole coronavirus thing hit.
Sure.
But we're going to follow him for however long it takes. It could be a year, it could be less. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I got my camera out and you see Arnold Schwarzenegger walking up to him and a Thor from Game of Thrones. So it's it's been a surreal past few years, but it's, it all stemmed from the wrestler. But that's where I'm at now. And I got a few other projects in the gate too, but we'll see what happens.
Cool, man. Well, where do you want to send people to find you, follow you, support you, and find out about what's coming next for you, man?
You can go bigfpictures.com. That's my website, or F Zarrillo. It's FZARRILLO on my Instagram, or Big F Pictures again. But you can get a better visual of it right here. I got my shirt.
Oh, there it is.
I got the shirt on.
I'm wearing my company shirt too.
I see it. Wrestling Inc. I see it.
Yeah. White on black, baby. It's classic. It works.
This is what I wanted to tell you too, Nick. There's an inspiration behind this right here about my wrestling fandom, or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
This is the NWO inspiration.
And, that's it. The black and white.
And quick story with that. Neil Pruitt, he was the voice of NWO. He does I have a good relationship with him as well. He does the following announcement has been paid for by Big F Picture. He did a little skit for me, so
Okay, no.
it's like it's all coming together,
That's awesome.